Hey friend, welcome to the Badass is the New Black podcast, where our motto is done is better than perfect. I'm Chrissy Chin, here on a mission to help you grow your business online, turn your leads into lifelong customers, and scale to six figures and beyond so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more. Most importantly, I'm a laid-back wife, a mom, a friend who started as a peds nurse, turned network marketer, and now a serial entrepreneur. This podcast is for ambitious people with an idea, a vision, but no idea how to get there. On this podcast, I'll give actionable steps to keep you moving forward while you learn new business strategies, better systems and processes, marketing, sales, all the things you need to build and scale a blissful business that keeps your pocketbooks growing. Grab a beverage, open up your notes app, and let's get to it. Oh, I'm so excited to welcome Danielle McDurfee to the podcast. We've been talking about getting you on here, girl, for a while. Danielle is a mom. She's got 3 kiddos, lives in a small town in USA. She helps support OOLA coaches and brings in new coaches into the network. And she's also a brand ambassador and a diamond leader in OOLA Global, a digital framework, life, and coaching platform. But that's not what Danielle was doing when I first met her. Funny story is I was newer to the Atlanta area. I had found, it's like the worst when you have to find a new hairstylist, right? Like you move to a new place. You're like, my husband still flies back to Chicago to get his hair cut, which is why he is going back to his hockey days with long hair. I'm like, babe, you have got to find an excuse to have work fly you to Chicago because you need a haircut. Really bad. But he goes with this person. So found someone new, was going to them, and you were the chair behind doing someone else's hair, and struck up a conversation because at the time we were involved in Young Living to some capacity here, and just started connecting in that way and just continued the relationship kind of throughout. Years later, here we are. You're doing something totally different. We just had your brother, Dave, on the podcast, Dave Braun, who is one of the founders of OOLA and OOLA Coaching. So we just had him on the podcast. And I really wanted to bring you on, Danielle, to talk about that transition, your story. You were a hairstylist, and maybe you even have more before that. I'm not sure where you're going to start your story, but leading to leaving that industry. And now you're helping coaches and involved in life coaching. So I just wanted to bring you on and talk about that journey of that transition, what it was like. Were there ups and downs and uncertainties? And just to give a lot of people that I think are in that same space, maybe you're not a hairstylist, but maybe you're doing something and you really just, maybe you're not fulfilled, and we'll talk about what was it that got you out of it? But just give people a perspective that they're not alone in this, right? So many other people. I was a nurse before. I didn't go to school to do business, right? And I've told my story a lot, but I just really wanted to hear someone else's story. So I'm excited to have you on. Thank you so much for coming and sharing and being open with us and getting vulnerable. So I'm excited.
Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, no, 100%. I think first of all, we can go back a little bit. I've owned businesses, I've owned salons, I've been in the industry of hairdressing. It's all I've known for 19 years. I truly loved doing hair. There was nothing that I didn't love more, was making people feel truly beautiful inside and out. I loved making connections with people. Like with you, right? I was just I wasn't even doing your hair, but I loved the business of connecting and making people feel heard and seen. So I guess that's kind of a little bit in that coaching space already. We always say I always said as a hairdresser, boy, you put anyone in front of a mirror, they're going to start talking. It kind of is a coaching thing, right? So I think just naturally, and then obviously OOLA is my brother's company, so we'll kind of move into that. But this thing came out of nowhere called COVID. And that is what.
Maybe you guys have heard of it. Maybe not. I don't know. It's a little thing called COVID.
I just never thought anything was going to take out my industry. And so if you're actually, maybe, obviously we're still having people their job has been affected by it and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And so that's not why I quit hair, because it eventually Georgia did open back up fairly quickly. And I did go back to doing hair. But that was kind of the first step of like, whoa, I never realized that my job could have been in jeopardy at some point. Like I literally was like, everyone needs to get their hair cut. It's never going to go anywhere. This is like recession proof, right? So that was kind of the start of it. But at the time I had 3 little kids, super busy. I was working kind of like 12 hours a week or 12 hours a day. I mean, I'm sure every time you came in there, I was there, right? Like I just was working a lot because I was the breadwinner of the family. And so when COVID happened, I mean, I went back to work 2 days even after my baby boy was born. That's how much I had to work to provide for my family.
Wow.
And so I think when COVID happened, it was kind of a little bit of a wake-up call where I was like, okay, what do I really, and I'm sure a lot of people probably on your podcast were at that season, maybe in March, April, like, okay, what they had time to think about what they wanted to do with their life, right? Some took action. Maybe some kept staying on the same kind of hamster wheel of life and they never actually got off. And so that's part of my journey is I sat down March and I was like, okay, wow, this took out my industry. So it's not recession proof. 2, I was like, what do I really want for my life? Because I was never seeing my kids. I was working all the time. Even though I loved my job and my career, it wasn't fulfilling me because it was actually pulling me away from things that, I mean, I didn't just become a mom to go to work all day long. So the ability to be able to be at home and, you know, working and raising a family, I fell in love with that more. And so that will kind of go into my story. But that was really what created the shift is COVID just was a wake-up call for me.
Yeah. And you know, you say like, oh, so it's not recession proof. I mean, like COVID and the pandemic and everything shutting down was like a jolt, right? For everyone, no matter what, you know, if you had any kind of brick and mortar service based in-person thing, like you shut down, movie theaters, like everything shut down. And I think that a lot of people realized, oh, wow, my job could just be gone in an instant. And that was always the case. You could get fired, you know, from your job and be out of work, not because the world shut down, but because maybe you couldn't find a new job, right? So I think it also really started bringing in this idea to people a lot more strongly that having another way to make income is great. Having multiple streams of revenue is great. Like this idea of like, maybe I shouldn't have all of my eggs in one basket, right? And it's the people that have drive and determination and motivation that are the ones that took action from it and are like, okay, I'm going to think about this a little bit more. And the people that maybe don't naturally have that are still doing what they're doing, just kind of hoping that it doesn't happen again. Right. But the people here listening are the people like you and I, right? Yeah. They're ambitious. They have dreams. They have desires. They know what they want. They don't know how to get there, but they're like, you know what? I really want to explore this. You know, having another revenue stream sounds like a great idea. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about like the feelings behind, like, what was it like? How did you like make the decision and what was the transition like? I want all of the details.
Yeah. So at that time, when the pandemic happened, OOLA was just launching their coaching platform. And so Dave called and I was free. I had no time. I had so much time on my hands. He's like, hey, would you like to kind of help launch this? I had no idea what it was going to look like. And I was like, sure. So I kind of helped launch that. I got into sales, which I was like, I've never done sales before, but I loved OOLA. I knew how to do OOLA. You can learn anything. That's the biggest thing. Like if you don't know how to do anything, you can learn it. I mean, even me doing hair of 19 years, like I was like, I can color anybody's hair and cut anyone's hair. Like I'm the queen at that. I do not know sales, but you can learn it. You can figure it out, right? So I learned how to do sales, and then I just kind of dove in. And then at that time is when I was helping bringing on coaches. We were building a network of coaching, so I just kind of shifted careers. Like shortly after that, that's when Georgia was like, "Okay, you can come back and do hair." And I was like, "Okay, now I'm kind of doing both," which was
By
fine.
the way, not to interrupt, but I had an appointment to get my hair done literally like the Monday that we shut down. That means like, I got blonde. If you're watching on YouTube, I've got blonde, but I've got highlights. So it wasn't like jet black growing out, but I needed a coloring and they literally shut down.
Yeah.
So my old course, Build a Blissful Business, I recorded all of it with roots hanging out. Didn't even re-record. But I was like literally going to get my appointment. They're like, no, I actually showed up to my new hair salon. And I was like, why is nobody here? Didn't get the memo, you guys. Okay, so fast forward.
No.
Georgia opens back up.
I think that's so funny, Chrissy, because I think we actually became really closer during that time because Chrissy was texting me and she's like, when do you think you're going to open up? Can you do my hair and your girl? I mean, we were like, we were actually like kind of talking.
I won't tell anybody, I promise.
Yeah, it was so funny. I know, it's just crazy. I mean, just think back like 2 years ago.
She didn't. By the way, you guys, she didn't. So,
I didn't.
Didn't go against any laws. No one did my hair. Proof. What, videos from Build a Blissful Business course.
Yeah. But no, it's not. You weren't the only one. It was actually comical, and to think back, that's kind of how it was. But so now I'm back in doing the sales for the coaching, and I'm kind of doing some hair at the salon, and I'm doing hair I had a little salon in my house. It was just chaos. It was complete chaos. And so really, it was kind of like you're going to go through chaos. If you're feeling like you're trying to build a business right now and you're still doing your 9 to 5 or whatever that is, there might be some chaos. That's all I got to say to get to the other side. It's just the reality. But at the end of the day, to build another business or to have multiple streams of income, you have to do it in your part-time. You can't just do it in spare time. You have to realize, okay, I'm going to do 5 hours a week. You have to get that into your schedule for 5 hours a week or whatever that looks like, or else your business isn't going to grow. That's the end game. If you're not working your business isn't going to work for you. So I was working both businesses. It was a grind. I can't even explain to you how many hours I was working at that time. And I'm not trying to tell people to like hustle, because I do feel like now I'm in a space where it's like comfortable. But I do feel like in a transition space, if you want it really, 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 like you want it tomorrow, you need to hustle a little bit at that time frame, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure, Chrissy, when you were building your businesses, you weren't just like 5 hours here and there. It was
100. There was definitely nights. It was like midnight, everyone's in bed, and I'm like, I'm creating content for this course or program or getting ready for the launch. And Dave and I talked about that on the episode as well, having seasons and how long is it to the point where it's too long, right? He was kind of like, if it's going on for 3 years, like now it's a habit. And I was kind of like, 3 years, like what? We can't be doing like these grind and hustle chaos for 3 years, but like, can you do it for 3 months? Can you do it for 6 months? Can you do it for 9 months? What does that look like? And what is realistic for you and what you can handle? But yeah, let's be honest. If you need it, if you're in a pickle and you needed it yesterday, you're going to have to put in extra work. If it's like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing and like, I can just build this over time. Yeah. 5 hours. Don't stress about it. Put in the effort and the action, and it will be a slow growth. Right. And that's okay too. Whichever way, everyone's scenario and story is different. For you, it was a bit of a hustle and a grind. You've got grit, girl.
Yeah. And so it was around August. So like you think pandemic kind of happened around March. We kind of went back to work around mid-April. And then the summertime, I was just grinding it out and trying to build the successful sales coaching business, mentoring these coaches at the same time, still doing hair to provide financially for the family. So I was going back to the salon that like we first kind of met at a little bit, and I working massive. I can't even explain to people the hours I was working, and I came home and there was tally marks. I came upstairs to my bedroom, my daughter's bedroom, and there was tally marks on her door. I was like, that is super weird. We had these black doors. There was like chalk tally marks. She was 5 at the time. And I was like, that's weird. Kind of like left, went back to work the next day, just kind of did this routine. I was in this grind motion of like not even really knowing what's going on at home and just trying to build these businesses and take care of my family. And the like 4 days later, I kind of asked Shay, I was like, hey, honey, what are the tally marks for on your dollar? And I honestly was like, she's 5. Maybe she's trying to write the word hi. I had no idea, right?
Right. Hi with some exclamation points.
Literally. And she said to me, they're for all the nights that you're not to put me into bed at night. And as a mom, I was like, done. Like that was probably worse than a COVID wake up call, right? So I had a conversation with my husband. I was like, I really feel like I just need to go all in on this OOLA thing and not maybe do that part time, like kind of flip the script, like let's do hair part time and let's go full time. So I think I was in that season at that time to like, which maybe you guys are really close, but you still have this fear behind you, like, am I ready to flip it to like where my part time job or my dream job or my dream career, my dream, there's going to be a time where you probably haven't hit your goal in life, like a goal financially or a goal, whatever that looks like, but you're so close where you're just going to have to flip it and go all in on that. And that's kind of where I was. That was my wake up call where I was like, okay, I know what I want. And I also I come from a background where I know how to build businesses. I know what to do. I know the people to reach out to help me. So I think like if you're in that space where you kind of, you're going to be successful on the other side because you've done it already versus like, I've never done this. I need to first get my feet wet in it. I wouldn't say quit everything and just go build a coaching business or quit everything and just go all in on you because that's not good either. That could add stress, right? So at that time, we decided the economy was doing good with housing. We decided to sell everything. I went all in with coaching, went all in on sales. And we traveled the US for like a year. I was just like, it was just, I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I was just like, enough's enough. I've gotten it to the point where I can flip it if I put more time into this. And I know all of you guys on here that are listening, if you're there, you're probably just like still waiting for the next month and waiting for the next month and waiting for the next month because you haven't decided to go all in on you and all in on what you really want to do, but you're so close. And I promise you see it all the time. Like as soon as you go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm so close. I just need to flip it. You're going to see your business just like take off from there. And so that's what I did.
I love that you have the confidence. You're like, I mean, I know how to build businesses. I know what to do. Like going from Grow Workspace and launching the Chrissy Chin brand, you guys, there was still a lot of fear in me. Like I've been really successful, built a successful business. Can I do this again? Like, I feel like I didn't have quite the same as you. You're like, I know business. I know how to do this. I know what I'm doing. I know the people to ask. Whereas, maybe some of you listening aren't there and you're like, ooh, even if you've done something and you've been successful for, can I do it? Can I do it again? And that's okay to have that thought and that feeling, but we can't live in that space because like you said, Danielle, you're just going to sit there waiting for the next month and waiting for the next month and not really getting to that root of, and this is where the coaching comes in, right? And the life coaching, why OOLA coaching is amazing because I'm sure it'll help you get to why are you feeling that way? What is it really? Like you probably experienced something in your life in the past that is causing some fear, even if it's subconscious. And so I love that maybe you didn't have that. Like your past experiences gave you some of the confidence, or maybe you did.
Well, I think that like you're always going to have a little bit of that. I mean, even today, I'm like, how am I going to build this? You're going to, right? But then there's this whole like, you have to just ready, set, go. You have to put your head down. If you really like your why has to be stronger. And I honestly think at that point when I saw the tally marks on the door, it was just like, I don't care what it's going to take. And so sometimes maybe your tally mark is different than an actual tally mark on my daughter's door, right? Like those are like a physical thing I saw. But maybe you have a tally mark where you're just like, I don't want to deal. I talked to Christy about this the other day where we were both in Atlanta at the time. I don't want to deal with Atlanta traffic. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like you becoming a mom, Maybe it's your marriage is kind of starting to fall apart. Maybe you really need that extra income. Like there has to be some kind of like, I mean, that's what causes people to hit, right? That's what causes
Yeah.
people to go all in on you because there's some pinpoint. And that's where it's like you have to remove all the self-sabotage, the laziness, like whatever that looks like, you have to find your why. You have to focus on that. And I just recommend to people, like, don't wait for the tally mark. Like, that's the other thing. Don't wait for that sign, like, before you have to go
Hmm.
all in on you. And you can do it while you're still, doing a 9 to 5 or whatever that looks like. But there will be a time in your business where you'll be like, okay, I'm ready. And that's the
No,
most freeing feeling ever to get there. So,
I love that. I also love that it wasn't, and I love that your story is different than a lot of people that I talk to because they're like, oh, I use my, and this is what I teach, like in one of my freebies, take your knowledge and your skills and, follow it and let it evolve into something else. Like you don't have a business now where you're teaching hairstylists something and like have this online business. Like you're doing something different, but it was because the doors open, this opportunity came to you through your life situation and scenario, and you leaned into it. And then you leveraged your skills that you had, that you developed and loved about hairstyling and being in that space of talking, connecting, coaching, and have applied it into this new opportunity in this new avenue. So I think it's just like I want to remind people out there listening that you might not know exactly what it is you're going to be doing, but if you just have the desire, like let the opportunities that come into you, like don't just push them away. Have some bravery to explore them a bit because that's where you are. So maybe you're like, yeah, I really want to do this entrepreneurial thing, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing. OOLA came into your life. So maybe listening to this podcast, like OOLA is coming into your life as a listener. Maybe this is something that you want to explore to be a coach to someone else. So let's kind of veer into that. And you can tell us just a little bit about, someone out there, people that are listening, obviously want another revenue stream. They're interested in being an entrepreneur. They want a home-based business. They want more freedom and flexibility, and all of that. So how can OOLA fit into their life to provide some of those things?
well, that's why I think that it's so fun that that was my journey to where I'm getting there. And then this conversation about like what you're saying is because that's what I love when I do. So I do sales for coaching for the OOLA coaching thing. So when you come on a call, I'm going to sell you the coaching package, right? That's what I do. But at the end of the day, sales that's not what it is. It's really connecting the dots for someone's business. And a lot of times we say no to people because it's just not the right time for them. But what I love so much about the OOLA Life coaching business is once you're certified, they have all the tools for you to grow a business in the coaching space. So if you have this desire that you want to do more in life or you want to just like maybe create another revenue stream or help coach your team or whatever that looks like, it's so nice to have a plug and play framework, so nice to have a plug and flame like workshop, social media content. I mean, Christy, you've seen all the stuff for OOLA. It's just a amazing platform to actually help kind of like if you're just feeling like you need just another thing to kind of add. Like me, I don't know, every single time someone comes on and they have all these ideas, it takes time to build out all those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy to build out a course. It's not easy to build out social media. I mean, I know, Chrissy, you do an amazing job at teaching people how to do that. This is a great way to give the confidence to people that they can do it and then once they're confident in doing it, they're coaching, whatever that looks like, then that's when you can bring in your own special sauce and whatever that looks like. So it's just a great program or coaching platform. If you're like, I just want to do something different, I feel like I have a desire to help people. It's a great way to kind of get into that space. It's just versus trying to like be in it's just a lot. It's a busy world.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's really hard to like figure out what your niche market's going to be, what your course is going to look like. And so if you don't have the time to do that, or you feel like you're not even like, where do I even start? That's where I just like love OOLAs because it works. I mean, people have had huge success. So if you start coaching and now you're having success with people, it gives you the confidence to actually go, okay, I could build a course on this financial piece, or I can build a course on, single moms or whatever. So I think that's where I feel like it fits in so well for people to have like a transition from their day job to like kind of a dream job.
Yeah. And we've had people that come in through Digital Duplication Academy that are doing OOLA and they're doing other things. So I love that you can really pair this coaching with your other passions. You guys know I love multi-passionate people and helping them. So I love that. I love just to kind of recap before we wrap it up, I love that you've kind of given some people permission to just like let it be messy and like share the truth that like it might be messy in the transition, but to just kind of be open to what's out there. Don't wait for the tallies on the door, right? Don't wait for that moment where it's like, oh, okay, I have to do this. Don't wait for a pandemic, right? If you want something more, if you want another revenue stream, because whatever it is, like just start. And
Yeah. Like here, let's just talk about this really quick. Like if everybody everyone that's listening right here, right? At the pandemic, if you would have started, which I know a lot of your viewers do, but if you haven't, right? If you would have started like maybe 3 or 4 or 1 even additional side of income, I promise you we wouldn't be stressed about gas prices and grocery price. I mean, everything's changing. There's this change. So it's like you have to make that change today because you have no idea what it's going to look like in a year or 2 years from now. I mean, that's just the reality. So
yeah. And if you felt like, man, I really should have started, I missed the boat and should have started in 20, it's not too late.
No.
It's not too late. Like today's the perfect day to like go all in, to do that flip and go part-time with what you've been full-time and do more full-time of what you've been doing part-time, right? Your business that you want to be doing. Today is the day to say yes, to invest in yourself. I love that you talked about like, investing in yourself and like giving yourself, I don't know exactly what you said. I'm gonna have to go back and listen. But like, you didn't say trusting. Do you remember what you said?
Mm-mm.
No, just something about like, investing in yourself. Oh gosh, why can't I remember? Anyway, it was good. We'll go back and listen. You guys that are listening probably remember, but just giving yourself permission to take action, actually take the action, let it be a little messy. And you made a comment like, I knew how to do business. I knew who to reach out to and to help me. Even if you don't know who to reach out to, besides you can reach out to me and Danielle, just the fact, like just take that nugget that entrepreneurship and building a business doesn't happen alone in a vacuum. So like, hello, light bulb moment, we can leverage other people and use other people to help us get the knowledge or the skills or the framework, whatever it is that we need to be successful. So don't live in a vacuum. Don't build your business in a vacuum. Reach out to me and Danielle so that you can figure out what it is. Maybe it's that next step. So awesome. This has been amazing. Thank you so much, Danielle, for sharing your story with us. I know so many other people, have similar parts. Maybe they lost their job or maybe, they're just still trying to figure things out from the aftermath. So I love that you shared that. I love that you have an opportunity for people if they're still trying to figure it out. So we'll 100% put, you can share your social handle and where people can find you to continue to connect with you. Maybe they're interested in what this OOLA coaching is and becoming a coach, and we'll put your information in the show notes. But if you want to share it right now, how they can connect with you and learn more, let's do it.
It's just my name, Danielle McDurfee. My last name's McDurfee. Follow me on social media. Send me a DM. I'm always around just to kind of help you guys. And exactly the same thing. Like that's all about business growing is literally like who you know, having a network of people, loving on people, taking care of people. And in return, like, look at this, we're on a podcast on Chrissy Chin's podcast right now, right? Like that's really what it is all about, is just caring about each other, like being kind and caring about each other. That is literally the business. Everything else you can learn. Everything else about business you can learn. So
Yeah.
find mentors. That's what I would do.
Yeah. We're here and we're here for you, you
Yeah.
guys, if you need someone. So you're not alone. You're not alone. Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. It's been so fun. And I know that we'll chat soon. But I hope you guys connect with Danielle and get to know her a lot more as well. Thanks again.
Thanks, Chrissy. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you got some value out of this episode, I would love some support. And the best way to do that, so I can keep showering you with loads of actionable tips, is to hit that subscribe button. Leave a review or a comment if you're on YouTube, and share this podcast with a friend. And when you share it with a friend on social, please tag me so I can reshare your share in my stories. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out. I appreciate the heck out of you for showing up. And now it's time for you to take imperfect action so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more.